Hi there, I'm Andrew and I started Best Cafe Designs. Just a bit about myself. I'm an architect. I'm from Sydney. I've got 3 kids and I've been working as an architect for just over 24-ish years. I work for a studio called FJC Studio and I work on a lot of public buildings and competitions and facade design and documentation. In my time of life, I'm always interested in creative outlets and I'm pretty time poor as a dad. And I thought, well, what could I do? And I thought, well, I like coffee, I like photography, I like websites, and I decided to just go out and take photos of cafes. So every mid-morning, I would go and to a cafe around in the Sydney CBD, and I'd be in the mid-morning about 10-15 minutes and take a few shots using my smartphone only, and I'd go back and compile it all together. This is one of the first ones I took, which was of Batch Coffee in Barrett Place. Kind of a nice little grungy cafe in the laneway with nice lighting and a vault ceiling. And it's just a block away from where I worked. Another one I took was of Regiment at 353 George Street. Has a nice heritage setting, curved glass, and it's in a Grimshaw design building in Sydney. Has this really nice curved glass and nice displays and lighting and ceilings, and it's just a nice little place nearby the office. Another place I took photos of was Three Beans on York Street. This one is just around the corner and it has this beautiful street frontage as well as this really nice timber counter with really three-dimensional form that blends in from the counter up to the wall finishes up to the ceiling, and it's kind of in this heritage backdrop as well. I ended up taking photos of about 70 cafes and I thought, well, what am I going to do with this? And I thought, well, how about I email a few architects and ask if they would like to provide the material to me so that I could start to think about a website. So I emailed many architects, probably hundreds and hundreds of architects. And out of about 400 architects I emailed, 2 came back. One was Kuyori in Kyoto, and they emailed photos of this cafe in Kyoto called Hu Cafe, and it's got this beautiful rustic timber frame and solid timber tables, and you can really see the original use of the place as a tea house and transformed into a coffee place. Another architect, Xiao Design in China, in Suzhou, they emailed their cafe, and it has this, it's basically like a piece of beautiful architecture with a little coffee machine in it, but it had this curved and art timber ceiling and amphitheater seating, and it had this beautiful red lighting with this curved glass and beautiful skylights. From then on, I thought, well, I can't really scale the photography that I was doing in Sydney. And I thought, well, I mean, this is near the tail end of COVID, and I wasn't really able to travel because I had all of the commitments that I had. And I thought, well, how can I collaborate with people overseas? And so I thought, well, I've been looking around, and then I saw on Upwork, you can put an ad up. And I put an ad up to a nondescript person, so to anyone, and I said, can you photograph 3 cafes in your local city? You don't even have to know about photography, I'll teach you how to do it. And 40 different people came back to me. There were many from many diverse backgrounds. There were architects, there were writers, there were photographers, there were people in other industries, and they would tell me which town they were from, and then I would research in their town what cafes were suitable to photograph, and then they will go out and photograph them. So this is one in Naples. This is actually an architect and graphic designer, and he photographed these 3 cafes in the middle of Naples, which were pretty cool. And then a photographer from Australia was working in Paris. His name was Jacob, and he photographed 3 cafes in Paris as part of this commission. And I talked to someone from Pakistan, Hunza Valley, and he was in textiles and he didn't know about photography, and he learned about photography and went all the way from where the village that he was to the Hunza Valley and photographed this really beautiful rustic cafe called Ginger Cafe. And then I talked to another person that was a student in Cà Mau in the southern tip of Vietnam. And she took photos of this cafe with this double-story vaulted ceiling in Annie, well, called Cafe Annie. And then I talked to someone who was an illustrator in Korea. She was actually from Malaysia, but she was based in Korea, in Suwon. And she took photos of this grungy cafe, Jongjeong. All up, I collaborated with 40 different architects and writers and photographers. And I had this amazing material which was very unique and didn't exist anywhere else on the internet. And I thought, well, what was I going to do with all this? And from there, I went back onto Upwork and I put a post up and I asked if anyone was able to write to these photographs that I had collated. And I put the ad up and there was a range of different responses. And there was one writer that really stood out, and her name was Penelope Barker. And she was actually a very experienced writer, and she wrote for Vogue Living, for Belle, and InDesign, and as an editor. And she worked many decades in the industry. And so I asked if she would like to write for my Best Cafe Designs website. And she said yes, which was fantastic, because she was a great advisor and a great source of insights to help me kickstart the project. And so she started to write feature articles to some of the photography that I had taken in Sydney, and then for some of the photography that was collated from the 40 collaborators overseas. I then asked Penelope if she could write a press release, and I delved into the realm of press release distribution, which is where you write a 300-word press release and you put it on the portals, and you hope that newspapers, other websites, basically other sites of higher domain authority pick up the sites or pick up the press release and know about this new website that I've been creating. Down the chain, then there are lots of coffee blogs that did end up picking up the site and putting it on there. And so from there, we started to outreach lots of different websites and get featured. And it's all a continual process, but started to get onto Perfect Daily Grind, onto Travel Weekly, onto Ground News, Barista Magazine, Coffee How, and they started to publish articles, which is fantastic because from these articles, they created backlinks, which are signs to Google to show that the site has some authority on the subject. And from then, I contacted Bowerbird, and Bowerbird is a platform that connects architects and publishers. And I've known of Bowerbird as an architect, but what happened is I kind of now playing both sides of the fence. So now I became verified as a digital publication, so a journalist, because of the credentials of Penelope Barker. And I was able to contact architects to see if they would like to publish their work on our site. And it ended up being opened up many channels, and many architects started to contact us. And we built up the website to about 250 cafe articles from architects and cafe designs all over the world. The traffic is something that is steadily rising, and this is only a one-year project, but it's already gone from zilch, from basically nothing, and it's starting to get nice organic traffic, and it will only continue to grow and solidify from here. On the Google rankings, it's starting to rank for some of the keywords like cafe designs, which I'm pretty pleased about. So it ranges from third to fifth in the world. And it started, because it's a very specific site, it's very like a micro niche publisher rather than a general publisher. It can outcompete some of the larger publishers on a specific search term. So on cafe designs, it's starting to beat ArchDaily and Architectural Digest and many other larger websites which I look up to. And so the website is continuing and growing in content, growing in outreach, and I'm starting to this YouTube channel, starting to network with architects and network with other people who are in the specialty coffee industry, and hopefully build up a nice little network where I can grow the influence of this Best Cafe Designs website. Thanks for watching.